Cali Sportsman, WDC, is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score, play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment, from the famous and the you name it. Cover all sports, from the football field.
All right, welcome to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host, Farhan, aka WDC. I want to thank you for listening today. As you know, April has been a very special month for us here on Sports Collective TV on Morris Media Live on Mondays at 5 o'clock. We're doing our special segment near and dear to my man Cali Sportsman's heart, the Chasing the Hoop Dreams. And I think he and I have two different perspectives of the Chasing the Hoop Dreams, so we wanted to have a show, highlight the leagues that we've been following and doing the play-by-play with the LABC League and now with Pac Rim, working out with P4E. And so we just wanted to bring this special basketball segment. Everybody was dealing with March Madness and doing their madness. But, you know, me, I'm a community guy. And so I wanted to have a special segment for these guys that are what we call chasing the hoop dreams, which is not a bad thing. I mean, you got guys that have been playing basketball since 5 years old, and then they get to high school, and some make it to college. And we know that small percentage makes it to the pros. But then what happens if you don't make it to the pros, right? People don't realize that you could play professional basketball overseas. So it's not just in the United States that you can be a pro. You can be a pro in other countries. And so you got guys in these leagues that are chasing the hoop dream. They're trying to chase that bag. They want to play overseas professionally. And so I wanted to capture those conversations. My man, Cali Sportsman, also, we agreed. We're working on the month of May to have a women's Chasing the Hoop Dream. So we've been in communication with the Basketball Beauties. And we're going to see if we could work out a conversation where we bring some of those women basketball players and find out, you know, what dream are they chasing connected to basketball. So my first guest, we'll get right into it. If you want to follow me, Twitter, Instagram is at Farhan Dozier, Farron Dozier. You're going to see some commercials about sickle cell trait. I'm an advocate for that, retired military. So you can go on my website and wdconst.org. and get information about sickle cell trait. It's more than just about having children with sickle cell disease. It also has impacts on exercising and having athletes, military personnel have collapsed and died. I experienced that myself where I collapsed in the military from exercising. So the risk factors with sickle cell trait is what I go out and do and speak. Now I go to colleges, churches, high schools, elementary schools, wherever I can get this conversation in, I go out and share this message because a lot of people don't know they have the sickle cell trait gene and they don't know the risk factors. So when you see the PSA, I produced that public service announcement for our sickle cell trait community for the awareness. All right, so I got next to me from the Undisputed, been playing in the Playing for Eternity. Make sure you check them out, playingforeternity.com. That's our broadcaster, Don's His League. And I bring you Chris Lowry.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for being the guest here today. So we're going to get right into your story, man. I'm going to go back in the past, and then we're going to figure out, you know, when this love for basketball took place.
Okay.
And then we'll just wrap it up at the end. So introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Well, like you said, I'm Chris Lowry, from Los Angeles, born and raised.
Okay.
I went to high school in Gardena at Gardena Sarah.
Oh, yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, I went to Sarah.
Okay, stop right there.
All right.
So I'm familiar with Gardena.
Okay.
I was actually stationed at the Armory right there. And I mean, I could see the parking lot of Sarah.
Okay.
Off of Cimarron, right? Is that the Sarah you're talking about?
Nah, it's off of
Which one is that?
Marine and Van Ness.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
So that little street.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
There.
Yeah.
I can hear the band. I can hear the band
Yeah,
practicing and all that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm way familiar with that. All right, so growing up in that area, what was it like back in your times?
I mean, actually,
it was rough in Gardena back in the day.
I mean, I didn't necessarily live in Gardena,
Okay.
So I just went to high school.
Oh, you went there. Okay.
Yeah,
What
yes.
part of the city?
So I spent a lot of time South Central. So
Okay.
I stayed off of like 91st and Normandy first.
Oh yeah.
Then I was 91st and Broadway.
Okay.
And I also spent a lot of time in Inglewood. So I
Okay.
went to Calvary Christian.
Okay.
It used to be on Manchester and Van Ness.
What was that environment like back in your in your days?
It was okay. It was okay. I mean, fortunately, I didn't see too many things. I did hear things though, you know, because I also went to St. Andrews Park for summer camp, and I did have, when I was younger, I did have a teammate of mine that passed away from, you know, gang violence.
Oh,
so,
no way.
Yeah, so I mean, that was kind of shocking because I think I was like in 5th grade when that happened.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of out of the norm to think that, you know, somebody at my age being in 5th grade could die.
Right, exactly.
You know, so that was kind of eye-opening for me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so where did basketball come into play in all of this?
I always loved basketball. So I know when I was younger, had the Fisher-Price hoop. And when I was growing up, even though I'm not, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, but I'm a Michael Jordan fan. So I was rooting them for the Bulls during that time when I was growing up.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
The 90s.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. And I really didn't get into organized basketball until 4th grade.
Okay. So junior high school, you played for, you know, recreation parks back then, or
No, it was just for the school.
Just
for the school. It was just for Calvary Christian at that time in elementary and middle school.
Okay. Where do you equate your mental toughness from? I mean, I'm sure the environment or family members. Like, what do you equate?
Mental toughness. I think I've always been tough, to be honest. My mom used to tell me that, you know, when I was younger, when I was 3, I always wanted to go outside and play with the bigger kids.
Yeah.
You know, and she said, you know, Chris, you can't go out there. You too small. And I would go to the refrigerator and drink all the milk, hoping that I'll grow. You know, so I could go out there.
Good, huh?
Yeah. But just as far as like, you know, taking me on to, you know, the college level and the semi-pro level and the pro-am levels, I would definitely say my high school coach, DeJuan Hurt, rest in peace. He passed away a couple of years ago. Just his conditioning program. I actually was talking to somebody earlier about this today. When I was going into the 10th grade, I had an opportunity to play varsity, but I didn't want to play varsity because I knew that their conditioning that they ran a lot. So I wasn't trying to do that. You wasn't
ready to do that yet?
Yeah, I wasn't ready to do that. But I mean, he kind of made all his players that play for him understand that, you know, you'll be a better basketball player if you're in shape because you'll be able to do whatever you're special, whatever you're great at. Yeah. You'll be able to do it for a longer period of time than a person that's not in shape.
Yeah. And so when did it get serious? When did you get past the strengthening and conditioning?
Oh, I mean, I ended up, like that year, my 10th grade year, they moved me up to varsity. Okay. So, like I went to the JV tryouts and I was just doing too well. And one of the parents there talked to Coach Hurt. He was like, "Yo, you got to move this kid up. He can't play. He got to move him up."
Yeah.
And so eventually I got moved up and I had to do all the running.
If you had to pick a song, what song reminds you of that childhood era connected to basketball? Any particular music that was going on back in
like during high school?
Yeah, what's just one song that first pops into mind?
Let me see. I know I remember a warm-up song that we always came out to was T.I. Bring 'Em Out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was something.
That's a good cut. Okay. High school. What happened in high school? Was there ambitions or going to college? So
definitely. It was definitely ambitions. Of playing at the next level. I actually wanted to go to St. John's because my dad is from New York, and I have a couple of family members out there. So St. John's was definitely in my sight as far as like going there and playing basketball there. But honestly, just at that time, it was just playing. You play well, then you'll get looked at.
Any AAU teams or?
I actually didn't play too much AAU. Travel ball? I did play. It was my freshman year. I played for Universal Knights. That was ran by Ken Miller. He actually does the Collision All-Star games. So that's where it's the city section versus the CIF section.
Okay.
I played for him for one summer, and then my senior year. So after I was done with my senior year playing, I played for West Coast All-Stars.
Okay. So did you make it to college? Or
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I had to go the tough way, so I had to go to junior college first.
Okay.
So I went to El Camino College.
Right there in Gardena.
Yeah,
So,
right there.
So, a lot of athletes have that dream to make it to high school, college, playing ball. Mm-hmm. What was missing for you to get those looks? What do you think was missing back
just
then?
honestly, my skill set, I would say. Mm-hmm. So at Sierra, we wasn't the biggest team, so we kind of just had to make use of who we had there. Mm-hmm. So with me being 6'3", at that level, at the college level, I would have to play guard, but I didn't really have too much experience playing guard in high school.
Yeah, because you was taller in high school, so
they
probably had you down in the paint in the box or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit more on the wing, but I didn't do too much ball handling. I wasn't doing too much shooting. Yeah. I was more so driving, slashing, playing above the rim a little bit.
Okay.
So that was kind of what I would say kept me from, getting a scholarship right off the bat.
So how did you deal with that transition mentally? Having to go to JUCO to get that experience, which we think is not a bad idea.
Right.
So at the time, it probably didn't look like that.
I mean, well, yeah, it was definitely kids, because I played football also. So they would say, "Oh, you going to El Camino University?" So it was kind of frowned upon to go to JUCO first. Right. But I mean, honestly, that gives a lot of kids some time to grow. Really. It's an opportunity for their parents to save some money. Yeah. They can learn how to play college basketball. And at that time, as far as like the California JUCO, like the state was very strong as far as like play and competition. So it definitely got me ready for the next level.
Okay. And so what was, when you hear chasing the hoop dream for you, what does that mean to you?
For sure. Everybody want to go to the league.
Yeah.
Everybody want to go to the league. So I mean, being younger, that's always everybody's dream to go to the NBA. And
so what ended up happening in college?
Like I ain't really understand how hard it is to get there. So I left El Camino College. I got a scholarship to Colorado State Pueblo. I spent some time, 2 years? I played 2 years there, but I had an extra year to finish school. Mm-hmm. And when I finished playing at CSU Pueblo, I had an opportunity that following summer to play in the Drew League. So that was my first year playing in the Drew League. And kind of just being around the guys a little bit. And
I don't want to pass that Drew League opportunity.
Okay.
There. Yeah. Not a lot of people get that experience.
Right.
So what's up with that?
So that was actually my first year playing in the Drew League. That was 2011. So that was the lockout season. Okay. So LeBron came down that summer. I know Kobe played down that summer in the All-Star game. That summer I got to play against James Harden. I played against James Harden in high school, so I mean that wasn't really a shocker. But that time we played James Harden. He had Josh Smith from the Atlanta Hawks at that time.
Yeah. So it was deep.
Oh yeah, it was definitely deep. It was definitely deep.
I went to my first Drew with the crew last summer.
Okay.
So that was my first time in there, and Harden was playing in the league and the game and all that stuff was going on then. So, all right. So tell me about playing for eternity, man. What is it like playing in that league for you?
It's definitely great. It's definitely different from other basketball leagues, just as far as like bringing ministry within it. Before every game we pray. After the game we pray. Another thing, you can't curse in that league, where you get a tech and you gotta sit down. So I mean, it's definitely different, and I just noticed that just some of my friends that I've grown up with, that they changed through that league. Just with the brotherhood and bringing in the gospel and God and everything into it, it definitely helped them grow.
What was your perception or theological knowledge? I know a lot of us grew up in Baptist church or church, and then you have that religious aspect.
Yeah.
And then at some point you grow up and you realize it's not a religious, it's more of a relationship.
You got a little spider behind
you. I do?
Yeah, it's a daddy long.
Oh, come on, Dad. I didn't kill it, y'all. I didn't kill it. So what, how is that you adjusting to your mentality or your?
I mean, honestly,
ideology or
it wasn't
theology?
it wasn't too much adjustment because I went to private school my whole life.
Okay.
So Calvary Christian, that was a Christian school. Sarah's a Catholic school, so it was a little bit different. But I mean, I grew up in the church, so it was definitely not much adjustment for me, at least.
Yeah. Again, so you played for P4E. You said you played in a couple of other.
Yeah.
leagues.
Played in Legacy, Drew League, as I mentioned. Also, the guy that I play for, Mike, he has his own league, so it's the Undisputed Division League also.
Okay.
That's just a few of them. Yeah.
So what's next?
Right now, so playing in the Legacy League right now, honestly, it's just getting ready for the summer. So getting ready for the Drew League. You know, you definitely want to be in shape. You want to make sure your game is right before that time, because I mean, if you're not, then you could get embarrassed for sure.
Have you been embarrassed yet?
A couple of times I got dunked on, I got crossed up before, but I mean, that's like the cream of the crop, you know. So it happens.
Yeah. Did we get some of those pictures up already for him? You got them up? You been showing them? Okay.
Okay.
So what is that? What pictures? What is that?
So that's actually last summer. So this was a new team that I played for, Optimist. It was ran by Chris Copeland. He used to play for the Knicks and the Pacers. Honestly, I didn't play too much on this team, so I had to kind of change my role right here. So just communicating from the bench, that's the biggest thing for me.
Right. I got another one. Let's see, pop that next one up real quick.
Okay. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. That's from last Monday. That's P4E championship. We was fortunate to win against a great P3 All-Star team. Yeah.
We were actually at that game, calling that game. Man. Yeah, you was.
Yeah, I did all right. I did
a
all
little
right.
bit all right out there. Nice game. Anything else? Oh, what's this one?
Okay, so I'm actually a personal trainer. So this was actually at the internship I just finished at Show Up Fitness in West Hollywood. And I actually was trying to promote that shirt right there, so I'm trying to sell that.
Well, it's on there now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get off those. So I'm just trying to test it out, see how the people think about it or what they feel about it.
Cool deal, man. Cool. Again, P4E is not, a lot of people hear that, Eternity and Christian League. I met Don, we interviewed Don and embraced him because I know how important spirituality is.
For sure.
As far as, all the conversations that go with it. And then, so for you, how do you embrace that? I mean, going from, everybody's born a male, but it takes, when you develop yourself, I mean, there's things you got, not just life, but there's studying and teachings that create us to be a man. So how do you use all that for who you are today?
Like you said, being spiritual is big, because it's a lot of things that we battle that we don't see. So it's nothing in the physical. It's spiritual things that we have to have battle. So you got to have some type of foundation, some type of grounding to help you get through those battles, pretty much.
So I'm going to drop a few words with you. We're just going to play a quick game called Wordplay. I'm going to say a word, and you repeat it. And you tell me what it means to you, right?
Okay.
So if misunderstandings.
Misunderstandings.
Yeah, so who do you think who's responsible in a misunderstanding conversation? Who's responsible for that? Who do you think?
Who's responsible for that?
Yeah, for the misunderstanding.
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
I mean, it depends on, I guess, who started it or who brought up the misunderstanding. Right. But I would say most misunderstandings, it's lack of communication.
Lack of communication, that's what I'm saying. So then if I share something with you and you don't understand it, then you should be able to say, you know what, I don't really understand what you're saying. But a lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people just take it like, oh, yeah, whatever. But then there's broken communication.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I don't understand something that you say, I would have you explain that to me or to clarify so I could understand. And
that could disappear a misunderstanding.
For sure,
a lot of families break up because of miscommunication. Relationships get damaged from one slight kind of a conversation. And then no one... So,
and then another thing, a lot of times, and I'm trying to get better at this, a lot of people listen to respond. They don't listen to understand.
Definitely.
So that's another big thing.
And to add to that, sometimes what I've learned in my advocacy work is the relatedness. So even if you don't understand me, use your imagination.
Right.
What would you do in a situation
Right, to
like
empathize.
that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
what would you do? Well, then if you looked at what you would do, it might be similar.
Right,
so
right.
then don't worry about understanding me, but now at least you can relate to me.
Right.
Then, like you said, you can listen and you can have a totally different experience being in that conversation with
sure.
me versus. So I don't really like to use misunderstand because it limits. That means you're listening to what you only comprehend of what I'm saying, and then you're just throwing everything else out.
Right.
And then miscommunication happens and things like that. So, what do you think about Nipsey?
Man, that was it was shocking. It was shocking. I was actually on my way to a game when I first seen a couple of people posting about it.
Was that the P4E game that night? Did you play in that one?
No, that was
Or
actually
another one?
that was Sunday. So that was Sunday. We was heading to the Undisputed. We had playoff games up there on Sunday, and I first seen somebody say, "Oh, it's a bunch of police over there, or whatnot. What's going on?" And then somebody said Nipsey got shot. And then there was a couple of people that was saying, "Oh, he died or whatnot," but I didn't want to believe it at first.
Yeah.
It could have just been he got shot, and sometimes in the neighborhood where we live at in South Central, that happens.
Yeah.
But just hearing them confirm it that he did pass, it was just a big blow. Because I guess I could speak for a lot of people, especially young males from LA. He definitely was an inspiration. I don't necessarily come from that lifestyle,
right?
But just being a kid from LA, just seeing somebody that's been through, got it from the mud pretty much and got to where he was.
Yeah.
And then just his influence of how he gave back to the community, build spaces like Vector 90 for, inner city entrepreneurs, giving back to schools and whatnot.
Definitely made his contribution back to the community. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just sad that it had to happen to him.
For you, why is your social media platform so important?
Why is this important?
Yeah.
Because I believe I have influence too. I've heard, a couple of friends of mine, approach me saying that, they really enjoy my videos. My videos that I make or posts that I make, because they could be going through something during that time.
Definitely.
And just seeing my video or seeing how I live or seeing how happy I am kind of, rubs off on them a little bit and puts them in a better mood.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think, honestly, everybody's social media is important, because whether we know it or not, we have an influence. So, it could we could be a bad influence or we could be a good influence. It's just our choice of what we want to do.
And then lastly, I advocate for sickle cell trait. What do you, when you hear sickle cell trait, what do you knowledge?
I have a little bit of knowledge. Not too much. I first heard it from T-Boz.
Yes.
When she was dealing with her bouts, and then I actually dated somebody that had the trait, and she had a son that actually had sickle cell.
Oh, wow.
And to think about it, I did have a childhood friend. His younger brother had sickle cell.
Okay.
So, that was kind of the things. Yeah.
And so it is predominantly African American because of where it derives from. It fights malaria. So in parts of Africa, but the European, Asian descent, Hispanics number 2. So it's not just black people. A lot of people think it's just a black gene, which is not the case. And I can have that conversation for the next 10 years, just to maybe tilt the needle, for people to understand who inherits it.
I actually had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know you mentioned that you passed out from exercising. So what are some things that you're limited to do when it comes to exercise?
And so what I've learned is that now hydration is number 1. You got to listen to your body. Your body will tell you when something's going on. Sometimes you might have to do 10 sprints instead of the whole 15 or 20. You might have to take a break in between. Doesn't make you less of a person or soldier or athlete.
Right.
But you have to sometimes get that water break or take that break so your body doesn't overheat.
Right. Okay.
So,
got you.
So rhabdomyolysis, some of your
I
trainers.
heard that.
Yeah. So I experienced that.
Oh, okay.
And so that's a skeletal muscular disorder. So the negative toxins in your muscles leak out into your system.
Right.
Hit the kidneys. Kidneys fail. Worst case is because those toxins are like high levels of potassium, the electrical charge could stop the heart. So some people have heart attacks, and that's why they die from the
Right.
cardiac arrest.
Right.
But it starts from the exertion or dehydration.
Okay.
And so people with sickle cell trait, we're more susceptible because we have that one gene that mutates. Like a person with sickle cell disease, we have one normal and one that mutates. So if that one mutates, like mine did, then I lost 40% oxygen
Wow.
to my body, which collapsed, passed out. And again, I didn't know until 4 years later
That
I had that the trait could do that. I didn't know.
Oh, that's just a trait.
That's just a trait, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely important for trainers and people to understand how important that gene is. It's more than just having a child with sickle cell disease. That is one of the conversations, but
Yeah.
that's why I speak with coaches in high schools and athletes and trainers, because a lot of people don't know.
So what are some things to, like, is there a type of test that people need to go into?
Yeah, so it's called the hemoglobin electrophoresis.
Okay.
It'll do a panel blood test, and it'll tell you if you have sickle cell trait or any other kind of red blood cell condition that could be impacting the oxygen of your body. So you got thalassemia, C trait, D trait, ARAB, Monroe. It's like 400 something different types of red cell conditions. So
Okay.
trait
Okay.
is like that important that NCAA made it mandatory for all student athletes to play college sports to get a test or sign a waiver.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what I get to do, and just important for people to understand that, especially if you're a trainer.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
For
a
sure.
lot of people with CrossFit have that rhabdomyolysis.
Right,
So you
yeah.
don't have to have the trait to have it.
Yeah.
You can just be exercise.
Yeah, that's just doing too
dehydration.
much too soon, pretty much.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, man? That we missed something? Shout out to Pete for E for your.
Yeah, shout out to P4E, shout out Don for really creating a great league. It's getting better each season. You know, probably this past season was the most competitive he's had so far. So
Low key, he said he might be in the Drew League. Are you gonna play for him in the Drew League if you go next year?
I don't know. We gotta talk. We gotta talk.
Gotta talk contract. All right, I'm gonna take this first break. Again, I want to thank you for listening in, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sean, for
Appreciate
coming
it.
out.
Thanks for having
Chris. And again, Sports Collective TV special episode, Chasing the Hoop Dreams. You heard it right here. We'll be right back. Shout us out to the rest of the crew, Don, Sports Collective.
Oh, shout out Mike,
Media.
Undisputed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta shout them out.
That's
Can't
right.
forget
Undisputed.
that.
All right, so we'll be right back. Shout us out.
The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider, as well as a one-time blood donation. In order to qualify for the study, you must meet the following criteria: be African American, be sickle cell trait positive, be able to read, speak, and understand English, be between the ages of 18 and 80, and currently not being treated for any mental or psychological disorders. Participation is completely voluntary, and your decision will not impact your healthcare. The results for this study are for research purposes only and are not intended to directly benefit any individual for confidentiality reasons. However, the results of this study are intended to help better shape policies and associated health risks affecting the SCT community. Participants may be compensated for their time. To join the study, or if you would like additional information regarding the study, please contact the study team by phone, area code 240-479-9514, or email sctstudy-ggg@usuhs.edu.
Hey, I'm Sergeant First Class Ferran Dozier. I'm here at the military base, and I have the sickle cell trait. Now, why I got involved is I experienced what they call sickle cell trait exertion. And I was doing the Army physical fitness test, the 2-mile run, and when I got done, I collapsed. A lot of soldiers and athletes have been dying at football fields and running track, and the family members have no idea that they have the sickle cell trait gene or that it's a trigger. So my purpose is to mobilize the community so we can find out what's in your genes. How will life be if we could prevent another child from being born with sickle cell trait or disease? And if a child was born with the trait or disease, that the family members would have the education, awareness, and resources in every city that they lived in. So tune into our webinar series and find out what's the count.
What's the count? What's the count? What's the count?
All right, welcome back to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host, moderator Ferran, aka WDC. Again, thank you so far for tuning in to the Sports Collective TV Chasing the Hoop Dream segment. As you heard Chris Lowry share his story, we actually watched him in the P4E game last week, or was it beginning of last week? All right, so I got my next caller. Let me see if Naya, you on the line?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. Blessed.
Cool deal. Good to hear that. All right, so I know you calling in representing the LABC League. I actually met you a while back. We sponsored Sports Collective as a group. We sponsored the 3-on-3 tournament, Nike tournament that was, I believe, and you guys actually won that chip, and that was exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
My name is Nye Carter. I live out in the Valley in L.A. I was born in Virginia, Richmond, but I moved out here when I was a kid. Been here all my life. And basketball is one of my first loves, man. I've been playing since I was organized ball since I was in junior high, late elementary. So it's been a part of my life now ever since. And I always try to keep a hand in it, whether I'm, hooping in adult leagues or, designing logos and doing photography for basketball. So I keep my hand in it all the time. So, yeah.
Definitely. And so what was your growing up like with basketball? Before we get to the Chasing the Hoop Dreams part of it, what was it, that love for basketball?
Man, just as a kid, you grow up, outside with the fellas and stuff like that, just playing basketball. And I was always a tall dude, at my age. So it was like one of those things where, I was always, on everyone's team and stuff like that. When I got into junior high, I started taking it more seriously. I joined like the Junior Lakers. It's kind of like a traveling team, and from there, it was just like it was instilled. After that, I guess it was just off to the races. Then I joined multiple traveling leagues, Jaguars, the Cavs, and then I went to Sylmar High School in the Valley, and I played there all 4 years. That 4 years, that's when there was a lot of hot players going on, like your Nick Youngs, your Jordan Farmars.
Mm-hmm.
I played against them, and it was just a fun time, man. And everyone has that dream to go to the NBA, and that's what keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? Like, the odds, 1 in a million, this and the third. You have to work hard to get there. That was my dream. I was a little more realistic. I want to just play ball in college, this and the third. And if it happens, it happens. At that time, you don't really think about, you can hoop overseas and this, that, and the third. So out of high school, I was like the student athlete. I had very good grades, so 4.0, stuff like that. So I played in the Scholastic All-Star game hosted by Magic Johnson at the Staples Center, and then after that I got a scholarship, a partial scholarship to play at University of Laverne. And, with life and everything, things had to change, so I had to go to COC.
All right, well, hold on. I don't want you to skim over that when life happens. Can you say, like, what was going on? Was it, like, 'cause I know, having the mental toughness takes a lot, that drive, and then relationships happen, or, parents. One, Drewski was on last Monday and was like, man, my dad had cancer. So it was like, do I go away and play, or do I stay at the JUCO? And he was like, man, that was the best choice I made, was to stay at the JUCO and develop. And so, what was going on? What kind of derailed that, if you don't mind sharing?
I went to school, and I went to COC, and I was gonna hoop there. And it's like, okay, so that school is straight, and they had their team. And it was cool. Went to the workouts. I hooped there. But then it was like, out of high school, it was just me and my mom. My dad was back east, and it was me and her. So at the time, I had to, like, really pay for school. I got a car, so I had a car note. It was a lot of things. So I was like, man, I can't dedicate all my time to hooping. And it was like one of those things like, damn, man, but I got to do what's right for me and at the time. So I could let me do the school thing. Let me knock this out. Let me get my degree. Let me do what I need to do. And I had to put that on the back burner, like actually playing in college and actually progressively.
How did you deal with that mentally, man?
It was hard, man. It was just one of those things. Like I was like, when I got scouted to play at Laverne, I was like, oh man, I'm winning. Like this is what's up. Like I didn't think I was scouted. Like I know I was good, but coming from the Valley, it was like it was one of those things. And I was like, all right, cool. And I got the call, talked to the coach, didn't want to be there with the private school, and I was like, cool, but like it was like it was a D3, so it was they only gave partial scholarships. So I would have to come up with the rest, and I couldn't afford that. Me and my mom couldn't afford that. So they told me to go there. I was like, cool. COC was fine. And it was just like I was a full-time student, and I had a part-time job, and I just didn't have the time to play on the team. And it was hard coming from just playing all 4 years in high school and, playing on traveling teams. Doing the whole track, I was just instilled into the game.
Yeah,
and it was hard. It was hard, but I had to make the sacrifice. But in between that, it was like one of those things where let me do this now, get myself situated to a point that I can get back into it because you always can.
Yeah.
But even between that, I still played in adult leagues and kept my game on. Still,
So let's talk about that adult league, because I know the LABC league is one of, I don't want to say the originals, but it's been around quite a long time. And shout out to Americas. What do you want to say to about the LABC league?
I mean, here's what's crazy, man. Like me and Americas, I met Americas when I was in high school. Like we both worked at. I met him at Toys R Us. That's where we started. Like out of high school, I was a senior. I met him at Toys R Us, and we just connected from there. We know each other. We're like best friends. He's like my bro. Like the godfather of my kids. Like that's where we met. And then when we started going to COC, we didn't know we played ball. Like I didn't know he played ball. I didn't know he played in North Carolina. I didn't know that. I didn't know none of that. And we just linked up like that. And then from there, we started playing in adult leagues in Santa Clarita. We were on the same team. Me and Max were always on the same team. We played in Santa Clarita. We played in closer to the Valley. Then we went to L.A., and that's what we did. That's why that was our outlet. So as years went on, Americans just got this thing like, man, we should do this, we should do that. I'm like, dog, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? He had the business and the dream behind it, and I was like, dog, all right, that's cool. I can recruit. I can do the logos. I can do the designs. And, yeah, it was just from the love of basketball. It was the love of basketball. We was playing in adult leagues, and he's seen what people were doing. But the thing about Americans is, the thing about this league, people do it for the money. Mm-hmm. Of course, you got to get paid. But Americans, he has a vision. Like, sometimes he just wants people to come in and just play and hoop just for the love, and he'll give back and take people overseas. Like, it just works out on so many levels. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then he gets to see people like me and him. We get joy out of seeing people ball. Like one of the things with me now, like when I was younger, even now, let's say I get hurt playing ball. I get hurt or I'm on an injured list. It's hard for me to look at basketball when I'm hurt because I want to play. It's depressing, But like when we go and do these leagues, we get to see people young, like straight out of high school, and then you have the older guys like used to poop and just coming out to have a good time. They come and we all just talk and converse. It's just a beautiful thing where you can just bring people together and get play ball. And yeah, so the love of basketball, playing in adult leagues, we started our own, and now LABC is just doing beautiful, wonderful things. We got multiple gyms, and people really love it. I mean, Americans just took it as far as finding people in the Valley, L.A., and then, oh, man, he's nice. He can do this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, America spots someone that no one would probably never see in the Valley, in L.A., and next thing you know, he's playing overseas. He's giving people opportunity to actually live their hoop dreams. A lot of people can't make it to the NBA. A lot of people can't walk on. But if you really think about it, now it's a different age than when I was coming up. I'm only 33, but like 10 years ago, the first thing I would have said was, oh, man, if I can't make it to the NBA, I can just go play overseas and get my chips there.
Right, exactly.
You know, we wasn't thinking that then. That wasn't an option.
Right.
You know, you got so many leagues now where you can get paid to play. It was like college, NBA. Now it's completely different.
Yeah.
You know, you got like AU leagues, you have D leagues.
There's everything out there now as far as chasing the hoop dream. There's so many opportunities to be able to still play basketball, man. Hey, Nye, man, I want to thank you, man, for taking time out to call in. I know we're gonna work it out for you to come in live. So again, I just want to thank you for shouting out Americus and the LABC League. And if you want to find out more about the LABC League, go to labcleague.com and check out Americus, man. Thanks, Nye, man. I got to get out of here. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Much love, man. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thanks.
All
right. So I got Inglewood Fellas coming in next. So we're gonna take a quick break, 60 seconds or less, and then we'll be right back with the Inglewood Fellas.
The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider, as well as a one-time blood donation. In order to qualify for the study, you must meet the following criteria: be African American, be sickle cell trait positive, be able to read, speak, and understand English, be between the ages of 18 and 80, and currently not being treated for...
All right, welcome back to Sports Selective TV. I'm your host, aka WDC. Twitter, Instagram is @Ferran Dozier. Up next, I got a guest from the Inglewood Fellas. Should be Sean Patterson. You there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, everything's great, man. Thanks for taking time out, man, to call in to represent the Jose's and the Inglewood Fellas, man, basketball. Introduce yourself and we get started.
Well, my name is Sean Patterson. Everyone called me D-Pat. I grew up in L.A., mainly East Side, South Central. So I've been playing with Inglewood Fellas for about 6-7 years.
6-7 years, man. What do you equate that mental toughness to, man?
What was that again?
What do you equate that mental toughness to?
I mean, adversity. Like growing up where we grew up at. We got to be mentally tough. So we have to all overcome adversity. So, growing up in the park areas that we play at, you can't be on the court if you ain't mentally tough. Most cats see that. If they see that you ain't mentally tough, then they're not going to pick you up or you're not going to be able to play.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You have to have that growing up in the hood.
And so what is it like, man, playing for the Inglewood Fellas, man? I know I've watched a few games of yours, and, I know you guys travel. You guys would go to Rosarita. I mean, Jose is out chasing titles, chasing bags. Like, what is that experience like for you, man?
Oh, man, it's cool, man. It's really nice because, you get to play with your homeboys that you actually grew up with. So it's not like we're just a group of guys that he just put together on the team. We all grew up with each other. We play with each other, and that's why we have so many championships under our belt, because we actually hang out. We network with each other, and we play ball with each other on a daily basis, pick up or whatever it is. So it's nice to be able to play with your homeboys and travel with them as well. So it's kind of a blessing, man.
Definitely. And tell me, why do you believe that your social media platform is so important?
Well, personally for me, I'm more in the community. I'm more of an activist, so I'm out in the community. I'm a mentor as well. So I do community outreach with adolescents for a GRID program, which is gang reduction youth development. So I use my my background as a balance tool for kids who don't see themselves making it out the hood. They look at me and they see, hey, this is the kid who's from the project and he actually made it out. He got a degree. He's smart. He's doing what he has to do. I can do the same thing. I don't need to do certain things or follow certain people to make it out or whatnot. You can just be yourself, and with the right guidance and discipline, you'll be all right.
Definitely.
My page is mainly that. It's a community page. It's for everybody. It's for uplifting, and culture.
Definitely. And so chasing the hoop dreams, man. Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, as I'm getting older, man, it's like the hoop dreams. It's not declining. It's just like, you know, hey, you're getting more into reality. You know, if you haven't made it, and this is for a lot of guys, if you haven't made it by a certain age, I'm not saying give up. Just know that you have to work twice as hard because the chances are getting very slim. So for me, I try to stay in shape as much as I can, and you know, and continue to chase the hoop dream, you know, by any means necessary. But my main focus is, you know, upliftment and community. But you know, I use basketball as a tool to bring that. You know, we can bring that as a brotherhood to where I can take kids from the community and use basketball as well as educate them at the same time. So I mean.
And I totally agree with you, right? Because here on Sports Collective, we talk about sports as a collective, but then we also talk about there's so much life and life experience in sports. And so the mental toughness, you know, the learn to be patient. There's so many, you know, developmental skills for being a person that comes with that. So what do you, when you're out with the youth, as we have some pictures up, like what do you talk about? What do you share with them?
You know, I pretty much let them know that, hey, I was a kid who grew up in, you know, in the struggle and grew up in poverty, just like some of the other kids that I talk to, you know. And I have friends who grew up in the same area. You know, I make reference to a lot of guys I know that's playing professionally, or, you know, make reference to guys that I know that's in the NBA. And I make reference to a lot of guys who are not even playing basketball, just, you know, people who are successful doing other things. You know, I let them know just because you are where you are, don't be content and stagnant and think that there's no way out. You know, there's hope for everybody. All you have to do is have the right discipline, the right mindset, and you can do it. But it's not easy to just say it. You know, sometimes people need a helping hand. Sometimes people don't know where to start. So I tell them, use me as, you know, as a resource. Whatever you need, I can help you build that resume. I can help you, you know, meet new people and network on how to get new things in life. You know, don't be scared to ask for questions as well, you know?
Yeah, and it's like a lot of people think that the only way to have a successful career is to be in college or to be in the pros, and that there's so many other jobs connected to the NFL. There's so many other jobs that you could have in the NBA that just may not be you on the court, but there's so many different jobs that you can have a decent, you know, depends on what success means to you. So you got to look, you know, find out. Everybody's success is different. Some want money, some want fame, some just want to be out there just helping in community. So it really takes, you know, a person to look within themselves to discover, like, what is my success? What does that look like for me?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, man. You know, and a lot of us don't really, you know, we don't really analyze or identify or what we're good at until we start doing it the most, you know. So it's like for me, I didn't know I was good in basketball until I started playing a lot more and more, and I find myself just by naturally being drifted towards it. You know, a lot of us, we say we want to be this, we say we want to be that, but then things change as you get older. You know, that may not be what your purpose is in life, you know. So whatever, you know, the universe provides to you, man, I say get it. Everyone has a hobby, and everyone has a talent that they can bring to this world. You know, you don't always have to be an entertainer. You don't always have to be somebody, you know, famous or whatever the case is. You know, we all have gifts and we all have different things to do, you know. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So, again, do you play with anybody else besides the Inglewood Fellas? Is that you're dedicated to that team?
I mean, I play with a lot of cats. You know, in LA, the basketball world is small. You know, it's big, but it's small. Everyone, you know, show love to each other. We all borrow players from different teams. Everyone plays. It's all about competing, you know. Right. You need to compete, so, you know, they'll pick you up or whatever the case is. You know, I played with Undisputed. I played with the Hub League. I played with in the P4E tournament league. I haven't played with that team specifically. We've even borrowed a guy from them.
Right.
Team.
Yeah, you had Drewski. Y'all took Drewski to Rosarito or something. He was on here last Monday.
You know, and that was his first time, and he had a great time.
Exactly.
So now you see how the basketball world works. You know, sometimes you can go play with another team. It's not no disrespect. We all just want to play basketball and have fun with each other. You know, it's just the culture of the game.
Definitely. Well, you know? Sean, man, thank you for calling in, for representing the LA, the Inglewood Fellas basketball, man, and we'll get you in here live sooner or later, man. So again, thanks for taking time out and calling in.
Definitely.
All right, cool deal. All right, and if you're interested in the Inglewood Fellas, make sure you go to @Inglewood Fellas @Inglewood_basketball on their Instagram. I say Inglewood Fellas because Joe is. I think about Joe when I think about Inglewood Fellas. So make sure you go to the Instagram page, go to our page, Sports Collective Media, and you'll find all the posts that's connects them to the show. All right, so one more quick second break, and then I got my last guest. I got Pac Rim coming. Actually, you know what? You can play that clip, and then I'm gonna get him on the line to call in. All right, so this is Sports Collective TV. I'm your moderator, Farhan, AKWDC. Twitter, Instagram, @Farhan Dozier. What is your ultimate goal for your league? I know we have this segment called Chasing the Hoop Dreams, and so I know you've with these different teams, and how what are you affording these players? Like when you hear Chasing the Hoop Dreams, like what does that mean to you for your leagues?
Well, I also have my goal, and I've talked down about this is help out some of these players that want to play overseas, and hopefully they
Division I Asian Championship in the Heights. Scorpions are getting under the all over the place. It's quiet in the gym too. Number 11. You can see that. Adam is all day. Somebody's off. Layup, drill by Adam. Oscar pass. Deep in the corner over here. Trey all day. Who's that? Again, it's another Trey. There it is. I think Paul, I'm think Paul to be the MVP right there. He's gonna shoot that. Boom, Adam with the shot.
Adam in the house.
All right, so as you saw, we were there. Me and Cali Sportsmen was at the Pac Rim D1 Open Championship and then the D1 Asian Division Championship. And as you can see, the scores were a little bit blown away. So I got someone actually calling in to represent the Pac Rim squad right now. So let me find out. Caller, you on the line?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
All right, all right. Your name is Don as well, right?
Correct.
All right, Don. Thank you for taking time out, man, to call in.
No problem, man. Anytime.
All right, so give me some basketball history from yourself.
Well, I got involved with Pac Rim when my boys and I, back in years ago, wanted to play organized basketball. So, we were all schoolyard basketballers, and you know how that goes, blacktop and stuff like that. Never got involved with high school, so we were doing it in the blacktop. So we saw Pac Rim League at Monterey Park, and that's where I got involved with Pac Rim. We joined the league, played. After a few seasons playing at Pac Rim, we took home a few championships with the help of a few players that actually played overseas. professional. And after that, I became involved as far as running and helping Don run Pac Rim, the West Covina division.
So let's go back in time a little bit. So you got a little bit of basketball experience playing on the blacktop, and you find Pac Rim, and then you start, chasing that hoop dream and helping others chase the hoop dream. So what's your biggest or most highlight experience of having someone playing with you, and the next thing you know, they're going over to the Philippines or going overseas somewhere to play? What was that like for you to see that?
Actually, it's good and it's gratifying because seeing these young talents having that basketball dream and chasing their own dream, being part of Pac Rim All Stars, we were able to expose them to a higher competition. We were able to expose them to coaches from overseas. And it's great because now seeing these kids successful, making it out there, making a name for themselves, it's just gratifying.
Definitely, and not, I don't want to say unfortunately or fortunately, but having a guy that's from the Asian descent background, the Pacific Islander, background, ancestry, and then already having ballers in the Philippines, is it that much tougher for a 5'9" guy or a 5'4" guy to get overseas? Are they looking for taller backgrounds, or what are they looking for?
It actually depends. For example, I'll give you my son's example. My son is only 5'9", point guard. Played high school ball here, played travel ball. All the trainings that he received here from Hooptown International, all the way through Bosco Tech, and then transferred to Nogales High School. Everything that he learned, he applied on the court. And being a 5'9" point guard, even in high school nowadays, that's tough. Mm-hmm. So not only skills, but you got to have mental toughness. Back home, there's a lot of 5'9" players and shorter that people from out of the country, people from overseas like the U.S. or the UK, going back home to the Philippines, thinking, I have this great training, going home to the Philippines and playing ball out there. They all think it's easy, but it's not. One thing that they have to think about is the weather. The weather is completely different. Basketball is the same, but the game is different as far as physical game. There's a lot of it's much more physical. It's a FIBA rule, and the referees are different, so they're reffing the games differently than here in the U.S. Over here, a little bit of push, you might get the call. Back home, the push is part of the game. Hacking. I mean, I can't say really hacking, but they just get away with a lot more physical and contact towards the whole game, and it's just tougher. So whoever wants to pursue their dream overseas back home, my advice would be, before you go, your skill level will help you, but it's all about mental toughness. You got to have that mental toughness that no matter what, you will continue, you will pursue, you will achieve your dream. That it all boils down to that.
And I kind of know that also, if you're an American, even if you're kind of the Asian descent, but you're an American, they only allow like so many Americans on the teams overseas as well. So you're fighting for a position just the same as, probably more tougher than playing in the NBA over here professionally.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you are not a Filipino citizen per se, because in order for you to play overseas and not be labeled an import is somebody that does not have a Philippine passport or not something like that. I don't know the whole rule. Things change, but basically for somebody that's non-Filipino, they do go for height. for the most part because you can't teach height. So that's the first thing that they look at, and then of course your skill.
And before I let you go, I also do a segment on my own separate show called DJs with a Cause. So I got a sneak peek. I don't have the picture up, but you're a DJ?
Oh, yes, sir, I do on the side, yeah. Oh, my God, who gave you that picture?
Don't worry about that.
Oh, man.
What kind of music do you spin?
Anything that whoever wants to listen. Basically, I do parties, I do events.
Okay.
So I cater all my music to whoever that hires me. Of course, I do care about the guests, but I care more about the people that hired me.
Okay.
So if they want to listen to 60s, so be it. They want to listen to current, no problem.
Wow. Well,
I love 90s though. I love 90s.
You love the? Hey, I'm still stuck in the 90s too, Don. So I think we can listen to some music, man, and have some soundtracks of our life play back and talk about those good old days, man. So
hey, that's awesome, man.
And so I definitely would like to talk to you about being a guest on that DJs with the Cause, and what that represents for me is that we have these DJs that are playing this music, but then there's causes that are they care about, whether it's cancer or sickle cell or autism. And so I like to have the DJ come tell me their backstory and then talk about the cause that they share, they care about, and then maybe spin live or maybe send in a mix or something like that. So I'm going to reach out to you. I appreciate you for calling in, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, man.
All right. I got to get out of here. This is Sports Select TV. I'm your host, Farhan, a.k.a. WDC. Shouts out to Cali Sportsman. We should all be back next Monday. And if you want to be a guest, Chasing the Hoop Dreams, Instagram is at Sports Collective Media. Also, I got the Instagram to Chasing Hoop Dreams, and nobody had it. So we got the Instagram at Chasing Hoop Dreams, Sports Collective, all connected. Shout us out. What's the count? WDCONSET.org. Peace.
What's the count?